Good morning, collective. Good morning. Oh, you know what? Hold on one second. I just want to write this name down. Jerry, Nathan, and Jerry. The cycle of the seasons, the unseen, bus stop, pace, agency, building, mason. Milestone celebrations. And 11 and 8. 11 and 8 keep coming up a lot. Good morning, collective. How's everybody doing this fine morning? August 17th, 2025. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is Patience. I'm your favorite spirit medium, host of Spirit News on all major platforms, which you can find through the link tree in the description bar. Please come follow us, be part of our community. We'd be so excited to have you. All are accepted, none are rejected. Ooh, I'm feeling a little tired today. I don't know why. I got some good sleep. Great. Spirit said, no, you're feeling great. Where? Wear. Where? So we're doing a reading today. We're gonna get a higher perspective of a tragic story. Maybe that's why maybe that's why I'm a little low energy, because it's not exactly something that is the best. Okay, it's got low energy associated to it, or at least I feel that. Just remember, everything I say cannot prove in a court of law. This is all just reading energy. I'm learning how to read energy on this platform through the help of my spirit team. We don't use tarot cards here, not because we're against them, but because we want to show you that you can read anything, because everything's energy. So it's up to you to finally tune your frequency dial in order to receive the messages from positive beings that have a higher frequency. Otherwise, you're just receiving messages from everything else that matches you. So if you watch us, you know that we're doing paranormal spiritual education about energy and how it applies to us as humans and our human experience, because we are not taught that in our society. We're not taught to honor the energetic part of ourselves, and we end up being out of alignment because we do not properly tend to our frequency, which we are first and foremost before even being human. So we're going to tap in with Giovanni Pelletier. If you have watched the news lately or go on TikTok as your news source, like I do, you know about Giovanni Pelletier. He was an 18-year-old young man in his prime that was taken too soon, unfortunately. Now, we can't break the law of free will by tapping into people's energies that do not give us permission. So we can't tap into the cousins that were involved with his mysterious ending of his life, but we can tap into his because he's crossed over. And so I can do my best to get a message from him, to see if we can get a higher perspective of the linear view of what we're being told, of what we can see, which is not always the truth, right? So Giovanni Pelletier was an 18-year-old. He went to visit his family, or he went to meet relatives that were associated with his father's side of his family, which he had never met before, in Florida, and he disappeared. Um, and there's like a funny story, like a weird kind of story that seems kind of questionable, but you know, strange things happen and people have awful reactions. So his cousins may not have done anything at all. I don't know. But they were definitely possibly hiding something about what happened to him. If you want to know the full story of what happened to him, you can definitely go look that up. But we want to understand from his perspective what happened and see if we can figure out what went wrong so we can heal it, Okay, so we can heal it. He was found a week later. They couldn't find him for a week. The cousins had some cockamamie story about him smoking weed and freaking out and pulling a knife out. So they kicked him out of the car and his backpack and, just weird. Like, why would you leave anybody just because, I mean, why would he pull a knife out? I don't know. I don't know. We're going to find out and see if we can figure out what's true or not. Or if there's some kind of gap in the story. Like, we'll see what comes out, what spirit feels is relevant, and especially the point of view of Giovanni, because it's like, what in the what happened? Like, why? If you were freaking out, why was there like was the weed laced? Are they trying to like are the cousins trying to hide their involvement because they know they were responsible in some way? Like, I don't know. Or they were just trying to like defend themselves. Like, he had a knife. What are we supposed to do? Just let him slash us up? I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna find out. But ultimately, what we want to do is try to heal the the grieving that happens when someone's taken too soon without any explanation. Police have identified him. He was found in the water. They have identified him through his teeth records because he was in the water for about a week. So a lot of decomp happened. We're waiting for a toxicology report to see if there's anything else in his system. So we'll see what goes on. But I was getting a song this morning. I was getting a song this morning by Paramore. And it was only one part of the song. The song's called Misery Business. And I love the song. It's a good song. But I never read the lyrics before. I kind of, I was kind of shocked about the lyrics, but all of the lyrics weren't in my head. It was actually just this one part, which I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's never really happened before. And it's, whoa, I never meant to brag, but I got him where I want him now. It was never my intention to brag and steal it all away from you now. But God, does it feel so good because I got him where I want him now. And if you could, then you know you would because God, it just feels so good. So I was like, what? So so definitely interesting. We're gonna see what pops up. Okay, so I never meant to brag. I kind of get the vibe of, now I'm not sure if this is three. It fit three because there were two cousins and then a friend. So that's three, and Spirit just said three. So this could be the cousins and the friend. I never meant to brag, but I got it what I want. And now it was never my intention to brag and steal it all away from me now. So we'll definitely pull cards to confirm what I'm getting, but something about there being some kind of, I don't know if it was bragging or if it was just, saying, Giovanni could have been saying, yeah, I got this going on and that going on, or he could have even had some amount of money, or maybe he had something on him, or he was bragging about, I don't want to say brag, because whatever he was saying, I don't think he was saying it to, like, I never meant to brag, but he could have possibly had maybe better situation than them educationally or something like that. Something that was perceived to these three people as him, bragging or rubbing it in their face or something. Throat. Yeah, speaking. Spirit just said throat, or speaking about, how good their life is or something like that. I never meant to brag. It wasn't my intention to brag. I was just, catching you up on, because these are new family members. So he's never met them before. So in his mind, he's like, just conversing, saying, what he's got going on. And it could have definitely rubbed these people the wrong way. There may be a mixed match in energy. Um, I mean, he didn't meet them till he was 18. Sometimes you gotta, if you get an itch to meet somebody, you gotta ask yourself, you know, well, what is the long term, benefit? Is if I meet them and our vibes don't match, what are the consequences of that? And we're speaking energetically. Because sometimes what we were reading in the reports is that he was getting an itch to meet his father's side of the family. And so, his mom was like, "Yeah, I don't want to take that away from him." But I mean, if all the way till he was 18, these people did not reach out or try to, become part of him, it's kind of, I would have taken that as a sign that the energies just aren't matching. They're just not bringing us together in that way, you know? And so, if we knew about energy, we would take these small, subtle occurrences of energy where we're repelling each other, and we would take that as a sign that, rejection is protection. But we often, push those feelings aside as not being important, and then what we think we want is really not what we need. And so we put ourselves into an energy that actually we were being protected from, so it's definitely got that vibe. Okay, so let's do a brain game. All right, Holy Divine Spirit, Giovanni, I'm so sorry that you're taken so soon. Please tell us what we need to know so we can help heal it. What would you like us to know about your story? What happened? We'll do a brain game. Or I'm sorry, not a brain game, a mind trap. Well, that's interesting. I said brain game and it's mind trap. There could have been some kind of maybe over embellishment, or I don't want to say. I mean, it says brag, so Giovanni could have been, trying to look cool, trying to belong, trying to fit in. He could have embellished a little bit his experiences to, meet them where they're at, these family members. The gym was generally crowded at lunch hour, and part of the reason was that Sam Slug, Sid Shady, and Slipshod and Art Bragg always attended. Following their workout, the four would regularly retire to the sauna. Sam and Sid read magazines. Slip always brought a thermos with a drink. And Art just talked about the next $1 million deal he was working on. One day, when they left the sauna, they realized Art had not come out. When they went back in to check on him, they found him with a deep stab wound through his heart. Detective Shadow searched the sauna for clues and questioned the three witnesses, but discovered nothing. Even the autopsy failed to reveal the murder weapon. Which of the three men killed Art, and how did he do it? I cannot make it up. I can't make it up. I cannot make it up. It's literally the same scenario out of all these mind trap cards. And that's not even all of them. Okay, there's a whole box of them. All right, let me see what the answer is. Art was murdered by Slip, who brought an ice dagger into the sauna in his thermos. After Slip stabbed Art, the icicle melted, removing the evidence. Interesting. So there may be something about his injury not being, like, the injury that may have taken his life may not be visible because of the damage from the water, from him being in the water for a week. It might not even be visible. The autopsy failed to reveal the murder weapon, because the autopsy does say that it doesn't look like any foul play is involved. Hi, Lenneth. Good morning. Make sure you're hitting that like button so people can find us. It really helps the channel out. It exchanges energy with us, and we're so grateful for you. Thank you so much. Tell me more. Tell me more. Giovanni, this also says Slip always brought a thermos with a drink. And Art was talking about his next $1 million deal he was working on, which didn't I say he was saying something to them that triggered someone in this group. And there's possibly drinking involved. Some kind of drinking, some kind of substance use. Sam Slug, Sid Shady, Slip Shod, and Art Bragg. Oh my gosh, brag. I never meant to brag. And come through, Spirit. Come through. I just said the lyrics. I never meant to brag. It was never my intention to brag. What were you bragging about? It could have been about money. It could have been about how much money my mom gave me to come on this trip, or how much money I'm going to be making when I get out of college, or something, or how much money I made for the summer doing this job. There's something about talking about making more money than he actually did. He was trying to sound cool, to these new family members. But they were already, shady people. They were already like that. They could have been on some kind of substance or drinking. Whatever though, I don't know if Giovanni got stabbed, but this is referring to a stab wound through his heart. If the decomp hasn't affected that area, I would have the family take a better look inside, like in the heart, because the outside would be all, decomposed, but the inside could possibly reveal some kind of wound that could have been directly related to how he died. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. It is waiting on the toxicology report, which, what Spirit's saying right now is that it might not be the toxicology. He could have just been drinking. Probably. Yeah, Spirit just said probably. He could have just been drinking, and smoking weed. But what's interesting is that this talks about a stab wound with something sharp, and the cousins claim that he started freaking out wielding a knife. So which is it? Why would he start busting out a knife? I think one of these kids was getting irritated or triggered by whatever he was bragging about, Art bragged, and couldn't handle his emotions and could have possibly, hurt him. And then once he did it, it was too late, You can't go back when something so impulsive comes through your mind. You have to learn how to control those impulses. You don't act on them. That's crazy how much it's related to the case. Thank you so much, Spirit. So, tell me more. Tell me more. Gary Gladhand, the politician, was very tired after a long day of campaigning. He went to bed at 10 p.m., wound his alarm clock, and set it for noon the next day. Since Gary fell asleep almost immediately, how many hours of sleep did he get before the alarm woke him? 2 hours. Wind-up clocks can't set more than 12 hours in advance. Hmm. They may have thought he was asleep. They may have thought he. There's something about time. Something about a short period of time. Perhaps even 20 minutes, 12 to 20 minutes after something. After leaving, he fell asleep almost immediately. How many hours of sleep did he get before they woke him? So there's something that it could have happened before they even got in the car with each other or something, or it could have happened quickly right when they got in the car. And then, and you know what's also weird is that he texts his mom and his family members, help me. He had texted them while he was in the car, help me, but he was only something about him being in the car for not long before he started to realize he needed help. He may have been losing consciousness be- because Archer, because some sharp object had come into contact with a part of his body where it was losing blood or something like that. It happened quickly. Or it could have been something, it could have happened the night before. Something that they may have been, messing around with, or I don't know, something like that. I know that sounds strange, but I'm just picking up on the energy. It could have been a injury that didn't seem bad at first. And then as time went forward and he's trying to like fit in and he's got a lot on his mind, he just kind of shrugs it off and goes into the car. And that's when, a little bit later, he starts to realize something's wrong and he texts his mom, help me. But he doesn't text anything else, which is very strange. Like, why not give more information? It could have been because he was losing consciousness. It could have been an inability to, type more because he was in and out of consciousness because of some kind of injury that could have been sustained by one of these three people he was with. And these people might not have even realized how bad the injury was, because after the desolate hill, after a little bit of a drive, they tried to wake him up and he wouldn't wake up. And so that's when they could have, pushed him out. Spirit said desolate hill, out of the car. Mm. Spirit said you were wrong, or something like that. I'm still figuring it out. I've only drawn 2 cards. I'm still figuring it out, but we'll get there. Okay. Territory. Mm. Virginia. Spirit just said Virginia. I'm just gonna write that down. I don't know, something significant about Virginia. All right, tell us more. What else? Tell me about these boys. Tell me about these 2 cousins and this friend. 1 and 3. Imagine if these cousins were a louse. Were an insect? What would they be? A louse. What the heck is a louse? Let me see. What is a louse? Either of 2 small wingless parasitic insects that live on the skin of mammals and birds. Oh, shit. They're parasites? Mother. They're parasites? Spirit just said mother. I don't know if Spirit is saying the mother is involved. I don't think so, but maybe that's why the mother kept them away from him away from this family, because they're parasites. Wow. Imagine if they were the subject of a photograph. What form would it take? Bikini clad. Bikini clad. Hmm. They'd be bikini clad. They possibly always have their shirts off. These are cousins that always have their shirts off, that are always getting in trouble, that are always up to no good. Imagine if they were an Olympic event. What would they be? 100-meter sprint. Yeah, they're not planning on taking any responsibility for whatever their involvement is in this situation. They're trying to get as far away from it as possible. Imagine if they could play in a band. What band would they be? The Spice Girls. The Spice Girls. Okay, they're very jealous, very petty. I'm not saying the Spice Girls are, but metaphorically, like I just like yesterday I called my son Spicy because he was very grumpy yesterday. So just people, that's just saying this is a group of, and it says, oh, Spirit said Nathan again. Spirit said Nathan twice. Nathan, Jerry, Virginia. Um, this is a group of people that are very petty. They're very jealous. They're spicy. They always have an attitude. They have a attitude problem. Um, and it says girls, so they could be in feminine energy. I don't know if their mother could be responsible for their pettiness, the way that they were raised. That could be why Spirit said mother. It could be the cousin's mother. Definitely could have raised them in dark feminine energy, very manipulative, very just spicy. Okay, very spicy. Okay, thank you, Spirit. What else? What else should we know about these people? We'll do win, lose, or draw. What else should we know about these people? Tell me more. They got some attitude problems. They run from their problems. Sweet tooth. They could be driven by money. They're definitely driven by money or money motivated to do things. That could be the parasitic aspect of them. Scale model. Scale model. What is a scale model? A smaller proportionally accurate representation of a real object or structure. So there's somebody that pretend to be a certain way. They want to model a type of energy or a type of personality. They want to come across as being like tough, as being like, cool or gangster or something like that, just posers. That could be why it took so long for Giovanni to even be associated with this part of the family, because it took 18 years. So he should have just stayed away, honestly. These are two different energies. Dead letter. And Spirit said letter earlier. Dead letter. It says and it's on top of a 100-meter sprint. So they left him dead. They left him dead. They ran away from their problems. They ran away from whatever they did because they get into trouble all the time. They're a parasite. They're somebody that thinks that they're some kind of like gangster or something, but they're not. They're cold-hearted. Cold-hearted right here. Cold-hearted Spice Girls. There's something about the way their mother raised them is the reason why they're very cold-hearted and very spicy, attitude problem, money motivated, acting like they're something they're not. They did something and serious and ran away from it. They run away a lot from their problems. They always think someone's gonna, um, you know, break them out of their problems. Between you, me, and the lamppost. Yeah, a secret. Between you, me, and the lamppost. Between you, me, and the lamppost is a statement of it or information is intended to be kept secret between the speaker and the listener. Yeah, they have a secret about, and it's under louse and sweet tooth. So there's something about Giovanni bragging about some kind of money he may have had or was given by his mother. He could have said, yeah, my mom gave me a bunch of money. Like, we can get whatever we want. I'll pay for dinner. You know, he was trying to be like a good family member. He was trying to fit in. He was trying to like get to know his family on his father's side. And these people took it as an opportunity to take the money from him or to get him fucked up. And then he loses his money or something. And so they could have possibly threatened to take his money from him or rob him or something. That could be when, I'm not sure yet. That could be when, it says bikini clad. So I don't know if they made him like undress or they're trying to humiliate him or something. I'm not sure. Some kind of humiliation ritual. A piece of a piece of my mind.
I hate you.
A piece of my mind. Bikini clad. Yeah, he could have been showing, he could have been really opening up to these cousins, just sharing his life, trying to get to know them, sharing his goals and his aspirations, and just, hi Judy, and just trying to get to know them. And they're over here pretending they don't have these opportunities. They don't see, their scale model. They're just a representation of a model scale of what they want to be. And he's over here, doing what he's doing, and he has better opportunities or something like that. Something that made someone in this group feel naked. It made them feel vulnerable, and they didn't like that because they're not in touch with this, their feminine part of themselves energetically, which is the part of yourself that knows how to handle your emotions, that knows how to um, be responsive instead of reactive, that understands, insecurities when they come up and how to, attend to them. But there's someone over here that could have given a piece of my mind to, he could have said something, like, why are you acting this way? What are you talking about? I'm just trying to get to know you, oh, you think you're better than us, something like that. Some kind of argument ensued about, I don't know. Let's see. Bottoms up. Yeah, and there's drinking involved. There's drinking involved. Have both feet on the ground, cold-hearted. Yeah, someone was 10 toes down on being cold-hearted because they were drunk about someone who is just trying to get to know them and be themselves, be authentic, but they're a scale model. They don't know how to be themselves. It could possibly be because a mother figure has raised them this way or has given them power to be this way. They're very spicy. They're cold-hearted. There's something they did when they were intoxicated. Cow puncher. I can read your mind. I can read your mind. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Up a tree. Cow puncher. What's a cow puncher? What's a cow puncher? I hired hand who tends cattle and performs other duties on horseback.
Synonyms: cattleman, cowboy, cowhand, cowherd, cowman, cowpoke, puncher.
Cowpoke puncher. Between you, me, and the lamppost, Sweet Tooth. Yeah, these cousins could have actually like physically assaulted Giovanni. I don't know if it was in the car, if it was right before the car. I'm not sure. Or it was a short time after they got into the car. They were definitely drinking. There was drinking going on. And there was
Go there.
go there and there was something about one of
Good
these
spirit.
there was something about one of these cousins wanting to he was drunk. And you know what happens when you're drunk is you say a bunch of shit and do a bunch of shit that you wouldn't do if you weren't drunk. And it's definitely has something to do with what happened. He could have gave a piece of his mind to Giovanni because he felt like in his drunk stupor that Giovanni was bragging, that he was thinking he is better than me. Oh, you think you're better than me? I can read your mind. I know that you think you're better than me, but that was just a projection because really Giovanni was I didn't it wasn't my intention to brag. I was just sharing my good, what happens in my world. I'm not trying to rub it in your face and make you feel inadequate, but that's what happened. And so don't let the bed bugs bite. Again, a reference to sleeping. He could have been punched or hit, or just the way he was, hit with something, with a bottle, perhaps. It could have hit him in the wrong way, and he didn't, they didn't realize that it was an accident, but at the same time, it could have been completely prevented, It could have been prevented. But after, when he fell asleep, they thought he fell asleep and then they woke him up. They freaked out and they had to come up with a plan between Yumi and the lamppost, some kind of secret, because they were all drinking. And one of them, I don't think all of them hit him, but one of them, possibly a cousin who's cold-hearted, who's who pretends to be something they're not, who's a parasite, assaulted him. And it might have been, and he was drunk. It might have been, I'm not sure that it could have been a sharp object, but I'm not sure. It could have also been a punch that just in a small space with a drunk hand just hit the wrong way. I'm not sure. Okay. It's definitely possible. Let me see if I can clarify. Oh my gosh, and look, there's parasite right here. Yeah. I think it was definitely the main cause was one person out of the three, the two cousins and a friend.
Rat.
All right. Oh, tell me more, Giovanni. What do you want us to know? Yeah, he could have been raised a lot differently than these people. He could have been raised in a single mother home, but in a very balanced, well-off home that had a lot of opportunities, a lot of love in it, a lot of peace, a lot of opportunities. So there's something about being jealous. Yeah, and the other cousin, is always in the doghouse, always getting into trouble. The mother's always turning her back on him, always judging him. He's always in the doghouse. He's always getting into trouble. Yeah, again, The other one could have been a single family house too, or something, or hmm, a single mother. Something about a single mother and like the difference, the difference of the upbringing depends on the mother, or in this situation there's two very different mothers. Something like that. Something about always being in timeout, always being benched, never. Oh, this could be another cousin. One cousin always wanting to be part of something, or to be belong to something, to want to be part of this trio, um, of this person who's always in the doghouse, who always has something going on, or they're in trouble. Um, they're known for being a troublemaker. One of these other people are somebody that has a good mother, that's also a single mother home, but is a little more sheltered. Doesn't get out a lot, doesn't get to be involved, or isn't, what's the word I want to use? Like if there's a game there, people don't pick them for the game and stuff, things like that. They don't get picked. They're pick me. Okay, basically they're pick me because they don't get picked often. They could be very coddled by their mother, um, very inexperienced when it comes to like life outside. Make the best out of every situation. Make the best out of every situation. I don't know if I showed you these cards. So this is Giovanni. He's chilling. His mother, it could be a single mother. Um, but there's a lot of peace in that picture. And then someone's always in the doghouse. Someone's always in trouble. Their mother's always turning away from them, not neglecting them, not giving them the attention they need to feel like they don't need to act out. And then there's another person who actually is very loved, very coddled, possibly to the point of like, you know, not experiencing life a lot, um, or not knowing normal societal cues, social cues, something like that. But with an absent father, or a father who's in the picture but doesn't always show up the way he's supposed to to help, or something like that. And then make the best out of every situation. Mm. And then I think someone just along for the ride. Someone just along for the ride that had no idea that he was with two crocodiles, that he was with an alligator. It's really only one because this one's not really showing their teeth. This one has no face, so it's like that's the other friend, the friend that just kind of follows this other. These are two cousins, and this is the friend. There's one cousin that is like the leader of the troublemaker, and then there's one that follows him around that wants to belong, and so does anything this cousin says. And this friend is kind of like just along for the ride, making the best out of every situation. I'm just chilling. I'm just here for the ride. I'm not here for any trouble. So definitely with the wrong crowd, not seeing who was around him, because he could possibly be high all the time. Something about him being high all the time, or being drunk, or wanting to just have fun and not really worry about who he's with. There's 12 and 3 on the clock. There's 11, 12, and 3. Something about 11:30. Yeah, like I said, there's something about time. Something that happened quickly. Something that I don't think that there's only one. It's so weird. It's like, make the best out of every situation. It's almost like Giovanni didn't mesh. He knew he didn't mesh with this energy and this friend of the cousins, but they were just kind of like going along for the ride, making the best of it. Whatever, just like, I'm here, I'm just gonna go along with it. They had the music on, they were drinking, smoking. The time was flying by. Some kind of argument ensued because something about what did the song say? It said, but I got him where I want him now. It was never my intention to brag and steal it all away from you now. What were they trying to steal from Giovanni? Who was trying to steal from Giovanni? What were they trying to steal? What was that? What were they trying to steal from Giovanni? Mmm. Look at this. Good morning, Robin. Yeah, there's a cousin and a friend that definitely didn't know what this cousin was capable of. This cousin has a screw loose. They're always trying to show off. They're always trying to brag about, how tough they are and stuff. And they could have felt like Giovanni was laughing at him or something, or laughing at the way he was presenting himself. He could have been like, why are you acting this way all the time? Or you got to calm down. And he could have really took that very personal. There's something about the two friends, possibly they were sleeping when this happened in the car. They could have fell asleep in the car. And when they woke up, they had to just grin and bear it. They had to just, it says you, me, and the lamppost, because they were threatened by this cousin. They could have been threatened by this cousin to not share what happened, or they could have been told whatever this cousin wanted them to know, because there's something about people sleeping. I know that sounds weird, but I don't know where they were driving to. I know it happened in the car. They could have been going. This could have been some kind of weird premeditation by this cousin to get Giovanni out, away from everything, and do something to show off. But whatever he did to show off was fatal. And so these two friends didn't know that that was his plan. I don't even think that he knew that it would be fatal. I think it was an accident. But what sucks is that these people who are innocent are involved in it now, and they have to keep their mouth shut because of this person. They have to grin and bear it. They have to pretend to laugh like it's funny, because this kid, he's always getting in trouble. He's always getting into things. He's always getting them into trouble. He's a troublemaker. He's always not listening, and he's wild. He's a wild card. He's some kind of parasite predator. He's always getting them into trouble. He's always doing things he shouldn't be doing. And he definitely had some kind of plan to cheat Giovanni out of something that he had, or something that he wanted from him. He was definitely a cheater. And look, he's like, don't tell my secret. Don't tell the secret. I messed up. Don't tell the secret. Yeah, there's something about him trying to catch fish. I have two fish references here. They could have they could have been driving to go fishing. And look, doesn't this look like a fish hand? Good morning, Starlit Sky. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. Make sure you're hitting that like button to help the channel out. Fishing. There's something about, yeah, there's definitely something about a friend and a cousin not knowing what one cousin was up to, but wanting to like show off or brag, using Giovanni in some way. And an accident happened, some kind of argument broke out. Possibly because Giovanni was like, "You're cheating," or "You're doing this." Like he called him out on something. He gave him a piece of his mind. And they were drinking, so that person could have got upset and possibly punched Giovanni or hit him with a bottle or something, or hit him with something. Could have hit him with something after he gave him a piece of his mind, or punched him in a weird way. But it says right here that the autopsy will not find the way he died through the autopsy, or they missed it or something. There's something that they missed, or that they could have missed, something that has to do with his heart. Maybe he got punched in the heart so hard that it like caused some kind of, I don't know, arrhythmia or something, that slowly made him fall asleep or something like that. Whoa. Your home, your evil twin. Yeah, it was like this cousin is the evil twin of him, like had the opposite upbringing. All of your evil exes, yeah, they were all not matching in energy.
Tonight.
2 weeks clean from alcohol. Good for you. Good for you. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. My husband is 2 years sober, so we're living a good life, good sober life. So I'm very happy for you. I send you all the blessings and strength to help you go for forever. Good for you. The person responsible for removing the headphone jacks from your new phone. Yeah, it was one person. This person, it was one of the cousins. They definitely have some kind of evil energy to them. They were jealous of the upbringing, the difference in the upbringing that they had. This evil cousin attracts the same kind of energy. You know, this is a lesson in energy, okay? And it always is. And once we understand energy, you can overcome anything. You can even alcohol too. It could have something to do with this person having an alcohol problem. They could drink like a fish. They could drink like a fish. They're always getting in trouble when they're drunk. They're always doing irresponsible things when they're drunk. They definitely. Can you tell me what happened? What the injury was? It was in the car. All the fish in the sea. It was alcohol. The backyard barbecue with all your friends. Yeah, they were all drinking. A swarm of bird-sized mosquitoes that will reproduce and take over the world. They could have beat him up. Honestly, they could have beat him up. Surprise. They could have beat him up in some way. I have a knife, a gun. I don't know. a violent barbarian on a pillaging spree. Yeah, because this person can't handle their alcohol. And so they thought they were like Robo Hitler because they thought that they were so cool acting this way in front of their friends. Um, Pretty much um, like a humiliation ritual for Giovanni, because they were jealous of him because he had a better upbringing than them. They were the evil version of him. They had different upbringing. And so Giovanni's just telling him what he's been up to, and he's over here secretly, jealous that he had a better upbringing than him. He just thought he was trying to show off. A family of cannibal hillbillies. Yeah, so he could have beat him up in the car and was like, "Shut the fuck up, man! You're such a pussy," like, psh, and punched him in the heart or in the face, or he could have actually hit him with an object that could have pierced him in a like weird way, and he fell asleep, and they thought he was sleeping. So it was definitely like an accident, but it could have definitely been prevented. Okay.
Keys to the car.
Keys to the car. So they tried to wake him up. He didn't wake up. Bailey, Mason, Nathan, Jerry, Mother, Virginia. Um, they definitely did not do Giovanni right. There's some kind of altercation while drinking. He fell asleep. Before he fell asleep, he could have been in and out of consciousness on the drive. They were going to go fishing or something. They were drinking like a fish. And then some kind of altercation broke out that injured Giovanni. And I don't think anybody knew the extent of the injury. And when they stopped wherever they were going and he wasn't waking up, they started to freak out and they started to come up with some cockamamie idea between you, me, and the lamppost, some secret that they had to keep and that they're still keeping to this day. And they let him out of the car. They let him out of the car. They put him in the water because they had to walk away because they sabotaged themselves by having underhanded behavior, by being deceptive, by having aggression, bullying, intimidation, abuse, violence, crime, assault, murder. I can't make it up. This cousin has problems. He couldn't control his emotions, and so he set his friends up to be cool. Like he thought it'd be cool to hurt his cousin, to make himself look like some kind of badass or something. But it was done in such a fast movement, in such a speedy way that it wasn't anything that they thought would gain so much momentum in this way. It was definitely a rushed action. It was an action taken through inebriation, which, I just recommend you don't even drink because honestly, it's just so maniacal the way alcohol can make people do things that they would never do. Okay. I'm not sure. I don't know the genders of the two cousins and the friend. I'm not sure, but I know it's two cousins and a friend. And I know that because where is it? These two Dalmatians have the same spots, which says to me that they're related, and then the other one has red, so which tells me that they're, not related. So something like that. But it was definitely one cousin, the one who's the gets in the most trouble. Like whoever that is, girl or boy, could possibly have blue eyes. That's the one. Okay. It did say Nathan. It has said Nathan 3 times now. Okay. So something about Nathan. They tried to take the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, they thought that there's some kind of upheaval. there's some kind of upheaval because this person took a chance to create this moment of upheaval and to turn the wheel in their favor because they thought that it would make them look cool and that they
Natural
would
environment.
and that they would that
Dimension.
this is the way they are. I'm this gangster guy and I beat people up. It's like, what are you talking about? Now they're in extreme regret.
Stairway.
They're depressed. They're
He was
frustrated.
reincarnated.
They're frustrated. Spirit says he was reincarnated. So, Giovanni's definitely, setting up the next life for getting ready for reincarnation. He's fine. He's not in regret of anything. He may have missed a few opportunities due to this, but this was fate for the other person that did this. Okay, so unfortunately, it was at the expense of Giovanni, but this is also some kind of like soul contract or some kind of, which I know is hard to hear for people because you're like, what do you mean? What do you mean my son got taken? How is that part of a plan? But you have to understand um from a higher perspective, there's a lot more going on than what we can see with our physical eyes, and every relationship and every situation and every
There were,
decision we make is directly correlated to
at the moment
a
of betrayal,
blueprint that we have set out in our incarnation to not follow completely, but to have like kind of like a guided course, and that has like multiple options and multiple directives and multiple, it's so multifaceted that I find, when I read for people, it's hard for people to wrap their minds around, well, how could it be fate that my son's gone? Well, you have to understand that this life is temporary, and I'm not saying that it makes it any easier for the grieving process, but you have to understand that every soul is not just your son. It's a part of the prime creator who wants to have a certain experience. So I'm not saying that to, negate the seriousness of losing somebody, but we definitely need to like change our perspective on the bigger picture and how it will unfold and how it will affect all the lives and change lives. This could change this person's life for the rest of every incarnation that they have, so it's bigger than us. Hey, honey. Can you kiss me? I'm almost done, okay?
You're done.
I'm almost done. Okay. I'll be done in a bit. Love you. So, what do you want to tell us now in retrospect, Giovanni? What would you have done differently? What do you see now that you didn't see before? Tell us what that is. What is the lesson to be learned here? How can we help? How can we help heal it? Law is not justice. Rules are not fair. Law is not justice. Rules are not fair. Hmm. Law is not justice. Rules are not fair. Wasn't I just saying that? From our perspective, it may look, like they're getting away with something, like they're, no one's gonna pay for this. Law is not just. But you have to understand that everything goes through spiritual court. So don't worry. Giovanni's like, maybe the cops didn't do everything they were supposed to do, and it didn't, we could have found out more if my body was found faster, sure. But he's saying don't think like that, because don't worry, everything's going to be balanced out because of spiritual court. Whatever doesn't happen correctly in our physical courts will definitely be playing out in the spiritual world, and that could show up, that can manifest physically in different ways, where this cousin could experience the same kind of death, or they could experience, there's so many different ways it can show up physically, that even though it may feel like to the family that they're not getting justice at this time, Giovanni wants you to know that spiritual court is in session. Okay, it is in the ethers, it's playing out. They will be judged by the right, by the right people, by Creator. Okay, that's who you want to be your ultimate judge, and it might not happen the way you think it should happen. Our the way we always see justice happening is, it either happens to them, or they go to prison. While Spirit is saying right now, Giovanni's saying that they might not go to prison, they might suffer, mentally. They might have, they might never keep a relationship, they might never be trusted again, they might be, isolated from everybody and never get to have a happy life. There's different ways that justice can prevail that are not the typical physical, prison sentence, or, death. And in my opinion, when these things happen, I think it's better for them to live their life out than to take the easy way out, and get be able to see it from the other side, because that's where you heal. You go heal over there. But if you really want them to experience the same experiences, then they need to stay, and they need to live the life that reflects the energy they were in when they did this. And that's the justice. They're not going to be happy. They're not going to be, living this life that's way better than Giovanni's. No, that's not going to happen that way. So Giovanni wants his loved ones to know that don't focus on the police or whatever, the law, bringing justice to this. Don't focus on that. Focus on, wanting Giovanni to have peace, and knowing and taking solace in knowing that it's being handled energetically on a higher level that we can't see. So Giovanni really wants us to know that what looks like injustice is, don't worry about it. It's going to come, it plays out in different ways that we won't be privy to, but it will be happening. And to just know that. Clock, something about the clock. Yeah, the time will run out, where these people, or this person, can't outrun, use your time well, can't outrun the memories of what happened, of what he did, of what they did. She, I don't know. Something that eventually will catch up to them, because they're like a pressure cooker, something that will definitely come to some kind of untimely demise for sure. Keep your temper. Yeah, because this person can't keep up with the temper that they have. They're always, another clock reference, they're running out of time to be able to hide what they did. Okay, so Giovanni wants you to know it's definitely playing out. It's definitely, if you can just keep your temper, if you just bide your time, don't worry. Don't think of how, it's not happening the right way. Don't think of, how it's not happening the way you think it should. Just know that it is happening the way God needs it to, for all the pieces to fall into place. Okay. Yeah, endings. Endings. Yeah, there's definitely going to be an end for the people involved. Okay, so let me see. How can we heal it? How can we heal it? What would you have done differently?
Life ends.
Life ends. Wolf, Pathfinder, release your past. Release your past and start a new journey. Didn't I say that in the beginning? He was 18 and finally decided, or got this feeling that I want to know my dad's side of the family. Even though he had been estranged for until he was 18, they were not a part of his life. So take that as a sign that if it didn't come together naturally, organically, without much effort, and it didn't just fall into place, then it's not for you. But if you're going to force a peg into a square hole, then you're going to receive, you're going to experience the energy that matches the energy you're being protected from. So he sees now, release your past and start a new journey. He wishes he would have taken that as a sign that he was on a new journey that's separate from his father. Whatever, God was keeping him away from that part of the family because they weren't energetic matches. And you have to consider that when you start wanting to have someone in your life, or you start wanting to try new things, does it come easy for you? Does it fall into your lap, so to speak? We're discovering by following spirit's guidance is that anything that's meant for you will be easy, and it will happen
with
naturally,
tools,
organically. You don't have to force it. You don't have to make it work. You don't have to, figure out a way to force it. It'll just happen naturally. You wait for it to come to you if it matches you. So if he had a thought in his head like, oh, I wonder what my dad's side of the family's doing, I'd really like to be a part of, I'd really like to get to know them, or if it's meant for me, then you say, I don't know if we're an energetic match, but if it's meant to be, I would love for them to come into my energy. If that is what is, the path I'm on. And if it doesn't happen organically, if you don't get a call, if there isn't some situation that the universe brings together for those components to happen, and you force something that was never meant for you, it could lead to disaster. I'm not saying you'll die, but you'll definitely have some kind of, unwanted energetic exchange. Okay. Remember, rejection is protection. Okay. If you were meant to be together, you would. So he's definitely realizing that in retrospect. Release your past and start a new journey. You are a teacher and help others find their way. There will be challenges, but your soul is strong. Perseverance is your secret power. You have love that endures. Yeah, he had a great life. There is really no reason for him to dabble in the past if his father's family wasn't there for him to begin with, or didn't show an interest in being there for him or getting to know him. Then he should have taken that as a sign that it wasn't meant for him. He was perfectly fine where he was with the family he has, and uh, thinking about the past and the way that the past should come in again, and he was really interested in sparking the past up. It wasn't for him. It wasn't for him. So he sees that now. He sees that now. Receiving. Every day it becomes easier to receive the highest divine plan and to trust my inner guidance. Yeah. He it's almost like he got stuck on, like, well, why weren't they there for me? Why didn't I receive a call from them? Why didn't they do this? Why don't they want to get to know me? And then that became almost like a thought of like, oh, well, this must be something I want. So in him trying to reconcile why he was abandoned by his father's side of the family, instead of receiving messages from them, he took that as some kind of indication that he should go find out. He should go figure out, they would really like him. He could receive validation from them. He could receive love from them. He could show them that he wants to be a part of them. And so, but that's not what the energy was revealing. And so he wasn't receiving, his idea of not receiving contact from them, brought up past things that he thought could be resolved by inserting himself in the energy that wasn't receiving him. Okay. Every day becomes easier to receive the highest divine plan. So he definitely had a rejection wound from his father or his father's side of the family. Even if he was in contact with his father, not his father's family not reaching out to him kind of like bothered him, I guess. But he sees now that it wasn't that he wasn't receiving messages from them. because they didn't want to talk, but it was more because they weren't matches in energetically, so they weren't coming together. And that's often how it shows up, but we don't understand energy, so we think we want something, and that what we want is what we need, and that's not true. Ladybug, good luck. You are bright energy. Let worry go and be happy here and now. Feel good about being a loving and colorful you. You bless the world with color and good luck. Yeah, he was this high vibing, very loved. He had a very loved environment, and he went to a if we're speaking about energy, if his energy is high vibing and he has compassion and he's on a high flying disc, and then he inserts himself into an energy that's on a low flying disc, we talk about this all the time. You They can't meet you where you're at. These people who aren't living this way, that aren't living on a high flying disc. They're living in their lower astral, they're living in their lower root chakra, being very immature, irresponsible, drinking a lot. My spirit said Julian, Nathan, Jerry, confirmation. And so you have to go, if you're going to insert yourself in their energy, you have to go to their level in order for you to even be around each other. And what it does is it takes you off the high flying disc and makes you susceptible to, being around people that you were never meant to be around to begin with. Okay, so we need to stop taking these people that get taken out of our life so personally, as if it's something against us, when really, from a higher perspective, you're just not matching in energy. And God says, no, you don't want to go over there. That's not a place where I want you to go. Take this as a sign that I'm protecting you. And if you insert yourself over there, which you can absolutely do because it's free will, you're going to match an energy that could potentially be fatal or harmful. And that's why I was keeping you from them to begin with. So it's a good lesson in energy here. When something's not for you and you're not receiving what you think you want from a person, place, or thing, and you keep inserting yourself trying to get their attention or be cool, or you want validation, or you want to feel not rejected by them, that's the wrong reasons to go to something you're not receiving from. If you were never receiving from that, from whatever that is to begin with, you're not going to receive from them when you go to them. Anything that's meant for you will come to you and will be easy and will be fun and will feel good. How often do you do your streams? I do my streams every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We try to do a celebrity read and we try to do a true crime read. Or we do a random read. We just try to follow Spirit's guidance, and but it's every weekend. And then we do on TikToks, we do Spirit Nuggets and stuff if you want to follow our socials. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your engagement. So definitely a good lesson. I'm going to go condense it over on TikTok in a second because I think it is a good lesson. I think it's valuable for people to understand when they do feel rejected by an energy, or they feel like they're not receiving what they should be getting from outcomes or situations or people or places, to not take it personally as if you could change that. It could potentially just be something that's not matching you, and so you're repelling it. And you think that it'll make you feel better, but if it's already naturally being taken away from you, just follow what the universe is naturally unfolding for you, and you will get what you need, but what the universe will know you need, because sometimes we don't know what we need. We think we do, but it ends up not being what we actually needed. So I'm like, what we actually needed. Sorry. Uh, True offering, yeah. Wait for the true offering that's going to come, that matches you, that matches your good high vibe and energy. You will get what matches you. Okay. I love you so much. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next weekend. Okay. Bye.